female entrepreneurs turned besties share on life, business, and the journey through the mess. Join their community with every new episode for connection, education, a few laughs, and the hype energy like a bathroom full of drunk girls at a bar. It's okay.
We're your friends now!
Hey guys, it's Ashleigh.
Hey y'all, it's Katie.
Hey everybody, it's Biz. And today I have the privilege of sharing my notes from the Her Best Life flagship event where Brianna Weiss, where we talked. So she was the keynote for it. And I know Katie's like been waiting for this forever. We really do. And honestly, I sent Katie my notes and Ashleigh from it because that's just kind of a thing we do. Right, guys?
Yeah, and could you remind people who Brianna Weiss is?
Yeah.
Yes. So she is the author of the book, The Mountain Is You, which is our most popular one. It's really, really taken off here recently. But then she also has a couple of others. Another one that is full of essays. That is going to be my next read. But The Mountain Is You is basically all about overcoming self-sabotage. And she talks a lot about having an upper limit problem. And that's where like you in your own space self-sabotage or keep yourself from achieving what you really want because you don't deserve it, XYZ, whatever type things. And so The Mountain Is You is really, really good to me because unlike Brene Brown, whom I do have much respect for, Brene talks a lot about how we're all similar, and Brianna gives action items and like actual like this is why you do that, so maybe do this habit instead. And it's honestly like really kind of difficult to read because like it's very much like once you know you can't unknow. And so so I found myself like sabotaging finishing the book, honestly, because it was tough. It was tough to stand in that arena. And seeing her in person, she's also only 31.
Yeah, that blows my mind.
Whoa.
The fuck? Like, y'all, and she's so impressive in person. Oh, she's so impressive. And it's like, you can almost, I sat there when I was watching her and I couldn't tell if like some of this vulnerability like that she was sharing was almost like an experience coming out because she was being like so open with some of us. And I was like, oh, well, maybe that's her age. And then the more that I listened to her, the more I realized that it's just honest to God confidence of knowing what arena she's in and isn't in and what matters and what doesn't matter. And that was just wild. It was very similar to like the type of observation I had with Diana Kokoska when we met her, like energy exchange.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I was writing like crazy the entire time that she was talking. And I know you guys listening can't see us, but I'm just going to show them at how big and dramatic I had like one sentence take up an entire page because I got so excited while she was talking.
You sent that photo to our group chat and I was like, ooh, Biz is pumped.
Yeah. Yeah. And so that's what Katie is saying. Like, that's what we do. That's one of our habits as friends. Obviously we love to attend things together, but that can't always be the case. And the more years that we've known each other and the more opportunities that have spun around us, it's just impossible for us to all be at all the same things. But Katie was with me last year. So she knew the notes were coming.
Yeah.
So anyway, so I want to jump right into it. And really, like I said, she's just crazy savvy. And the main point of her keynote conversation was that want is our most driving force in all things. And I love the way that she simplified that because I feel like we've talked a lot about knowing yes and no and this and that, but like in wanting and goals, but not in like goal setting framing, but not so much just at the root of want. So do you guys agree with that? And then like, how do y'all know what you want?
That's a lot of layered questions.
I
Um,
know.
so I really love this concept because I think it's really easy to get stuck in this trap of like, we set these goals, we know how to set goals, we know how to like back into a goal, we know how to set an action plan. And then all of a sudden we find ourselves justifying every single action we take. Like it has to be it has to be productive, or it has to have like this, that, and the other. And sometimes it's okay to be like, well, I just want this, or I just want to do this. And like, if you don't want to do any of the things you're doing, why are they doing them? Like, what does any number mean? Or what does any goal mean if you don't even want what's attached, you know? And so like, I think it's one of the most forgotten things probably in our industry is like what we want and allowing that to drive what we do or don't do or whatever.
Mm.
How we know what we want, I don't know. Like I
That
have a
was my
mission.
favorite part.
I have a
Yes.
mission, and like most of what I want falls into that. But otherwise, it's like, 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 do I want this? Sounds good. Doesn't sound good. I don't know.
Yeah, Ashley, do you think about like when you're goal setting, like how you're defining your wants?
Yes, and I think it's interesting that she's saying wants are the most driving force because I immediately was like, I feel like we're more driven by what we want to avoid. But now the more I'm thinking about it and the more Katie was talking about it, a lot of our avoidance is really giving into our wants that are in the moment.
Yep.
And so it's like, oh, I want to, be super, super fit, but I also really want a croissant.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so I was like, you know what? I don't know that it always is avoidance. Sometimes it's just want. So I think that's really interesting, and I have a lot to think about now because of that. But in terms
So,
of like,
oh,
how would
sorry.
I know what I want? Um, I feel like so much of that is driven by what is the most important to me and what furthers that. And that is things like my relationships with the people that are close to me. If something's going to harm that, then I don't want it. And if something's going to further it and deepen it, make it better in some way, then I do want it.
Yep.
Those are just like a feeling, right?
Well, and that's the thing. Like, oh, you guys. So, like, you know me, like, I've had this problem, like, people pleasing, like,
Yeah.
mimicking, like, whatever. And I argued with my therapist for a long time about, like, if it was a bad thing or not, because I'm like, it's really kind of my superpower. And like, I realized, like, I know this is how fucked up my brain was. I'm like, I can identify what this person wants and like give it to them in like rapid speed. Like,
Sorry. Sorry. This is like my superpower is I can just become anybody else.
yeah, well, and like, but that's where I was. Like, I was
I
so
know.
checked up. Like, and like that's why, like, okay, yeah, you do know because you lived it. Sorry, with me. Thanks, friend.
It's
But
just
that
funny to
goes.
say it in that way. Like it's such a real thing.
Well, and I mean, I had to, well, yeah, thanks. You're right. I did just skirt over that really quickly. Um, but that's why it was so powerful in the bathroom when I looked at you and you're like, you're my real friend, because that's what real friend was. It was not, yeah. Well,
You
there we
just had to be
go.
you.
Yeah, there's some crazy vulnerability right out of the gate that I've struggled with this, right? Like people
That's
pleasing all the way through, like my worth being in the eyes of the people that are looking at me. And that's the codependency walk that I've been chains that I've been breaking. But I want to move on from that specifically
sorry.
because it's okay. But you're right. Like when she was talking, this is why I got so excited because I was like, oh my God, like you're about to change my life. And she talked about how do you know what you want? And she literally broke it down to something as small as coffee. And is like, how do you like your coffee? How and like realizing that like there might be micro decisions, and she was caught up in this at some point too, and then so she was sharing like her personal journey through it, and she talked about like going shopping and like holding up a piece of clothing and listening to your body Like, what does a yes feel like? And what does a no feel like? So you can start to understand your gut intuition. And like, I am so excited to take Liv shopping and to teach her this while I'm teaching myself. And so like, yeah, but I couldn't wait to bring it up to talk to y'all because like, of course you got, I mean, like, it does not surprise me at all to hear y'all like with this. So, um, but yeah, so that, but the main thing
Hang on,
was, is,
before we
go
move
ahead,
on
sorry.
though from
Yeah,
that,
yeah.
because like, and this is, we're gonna go down this little like hippie rabbit hole. So back when I was super like in the thick of being injured in high school, right? And I was going through like they were trying to figure out exactly what was wrong and all this stuff with my back and my body and why it was rejecting everything. And I went to see this one specialist, and I don't even remember like her title, but she was telling me because I was like, I can't eat anything. I had like all these stomach ulcers, and like I was like, I can't eat anything, but I'm hungry, but like everything makes me sick, or like, I don't know, I just feel so bad all the time. And she was like, before you eat anything or make anything, I want you to hold it in your hand and feel how your body responds to it. And I was like, well, that's the dumbest thing I've ever heard in my life. Right. I mean, I was like 15. I was like, I'm not going to hold my food. If I touch it, I'm going to eat it. And otherwise, like, I'm just going to move on with my day. And she's like, I just want you to do it for like 3 days, hold the food in your hand and see how your body reacts. And I swear to you that some food that I held triggered pain in my body because whatever was in it was like not good for my nerves or whatever. So I love that that's bringing this over into just like something as simple as what you want, of like holding it and then pausing and paying attention to how your body responds. Cause I think to your point, we're so caught up sometimes in like who we are or what we're doing that we forget it's okay to just listen to ourselves. So like I like that exercise a lot. I think that's really cool. And for the record, I don't still hold food anymore. I'm pretty good at just knowing what I want to eat.
For the record, I'm gonna start holding my food. Okay, thanks.
You don't have to like caress it. You just have to like hold it.
Don't tell me what to do. I'm just kidding. Please tell me what to do. I always listen most of the time. But yeah, Ashleigh, what about you? Do you have an experience like that where you did?
I don't know that I have an experience like that is as intentional, but it made me think about like Katie holding food to see how her body responds and how she feels. Is that when I am like, nothing I have at home to eat sounds good. Maybe I want to go get something, and I will get trapped in this like, I'll go look up, the menu of this place, and just be like, I don't know, like it sounds fine, but I don't want it. I can just feel that like I don't want it. And a lot of times I don't want it enough to like pay the extra fees to have it delivered, or like to get up and go get it myself. But it's like a similar feeling of like, I sit there and look at like, okay, I would probably order this and I just don't want it enough. And it's just
Yeah.
interesting. It's like, cause it's not like a super conscious thing. It's just me trying to figure out what I want for lunch.
Yeah. See, and like the cool thing about it is she broke it down to those micro decisions, but that literally those micro decisions are what build our identity, like through one small one at a time.
Mm.
And that, like, I think that's sometimes why I struggle with goal setting, is because I'm not at square one of understanding my wants versus this, or like giving myself permission to want the things that I want. And that's the upper limit problem that comes into play. Um, and so she talked about then how, like, ultimately the arena is you versus you. That's it. And I've heard that before, but where this is like leading up to the huge one sentence that I wrote. And that one sentence said, I am not going to make this harder on myself.
Ooh.
No, I am not going to make this harder on myself. And what I realized in that moment is that that's that deep, unconditional love of like, I see you and all of your flaws and all of that, but like, I know that you're going to do better next time. And that's the shame spiral that had a hold of my brain, was that I wasn't in my own corner. And I had never heard anybody like say it the way that she said it. And it was so powerful because like, you know, that you're like, she was speaking from experience, even though she's only 31. And that's where like, it's crazy because she started writing these books like years ago, and she was writing for herself, right? Like similar to Brene Brown and like how we're all connected. But like, this is literally how she did it. And that's what's so cool is like she herself, her career itself, her friends, her board of advisors, the way that she's like all of it. And she's completely unapologetic about like the people that were rude to her. She's like, fuck them. Like, and like, I love that too. Like, you know, and she says things like, the hotter and richer my friends are, the hotter and richer I am. Like, you know, I mean, it's just cool. So yeah, so that whole bit of never like abandoning myself, no matter how bad things get, like having hope and hope in yourself and belief in how important that is.
Yeah.
Yeah. Were y'all impacted by that just then, or you're like listening to this
I
and
just had
you're
to stop and
like,
write that down. I wrote down, I'm not going to make this harder for myself, because I really, really like that.
yeah. Cause like, you know, yeah. Okay, good. That makes me, yeah. Thanks, Ashleigh.
Yeah. I think it's interesting because we are so often our very own worst enemy. And I was thinking about this with like my kids recently, in that, you know, one day we left the house to start going to school, and we're very prompt. So we leave a couple minutes early. So we're driving down the road, and then Cassie goes, "Oh, I forgot whatever it was, her phone or something." And I remember in my childhood, like, you would have gotten yelled at, you would have been told to suck it up, like, too bad, so sad, all that kind of stuff. And that's where a lot of that inner voice comes from now. But for her, I just said, "Oh, no worries. That's why we leave a little bit early." Turned around, I said, "Run in and get it." And we made it to school in time. It's no big deal. And like, I'm glad I'm providing that for them. But something I didn't realize was happening is that I was reinforcing that kind of talk with myself. And one day, just not too long ago, I forgot something, and I thought to myself, "Oh, that's okay. These things happen. We'll turn around and go get it." And
Oh,
I stopped, and I was like, that was monumental, because 3 years ago, sobbing in my car, telling myself I'm stupid and that I'll never get anywhere because I'd forgotten my laptop charger.
you were so
Yeah, girl.
nice to yourself.
Good job. Did you get a
Thanks.
treat? Did you stop and get a treat afterwards? Because you should have.
So I do that sometimes too. It's like, okay, you know what, Ashley,
That's
this has been
amazing,
hard and you're doing
Ashleigh.
it, and we're gonna get a little treat.
Yeah, good job. Good job, self. Way to love you. That's
Biz, one of
great. That's so hopeful, Ashley. I love that.
the things that stands out to me about that too is the simplicity of the sentence, but also the permission of, I don't need to make it harder on myself. And it's okay if I choose, like, I know all three of us care really deeply about other people. And while Biz, you always say, like, I know exactly what I want, or blah, 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 or whatever. Like, yes, if it's in alignment with my mission or my priorities, like, I'm pretty unapologetic for that. But I also find myself taking other people's responses or feelings into account when I make a decision. And it's good to hear that permission of, like, I can recognize that somebody might not like a decision I make, but it doesn't need to be a deciding factor or impact me at all. And like, even if I arrive at the same conclusion, it's a lot more stressful because I'm trying to like take on all of these people's feelings or thoughts or whatever and make everything okay for everyone. And I guess sometimes it's okay for me to just not make it harder on myself and be the one who gets like who doesn't have to burden that.
Yeah, and you know what my therapist tells me, that people don't think about me nearly as much as I think they do in
No,
those
oh no,
things,
they don't.
right? But like
Yeah.
that's where I get caught up in like what you're talking about, Katie, and like, like putting other people, right? Instead of just ripping the Band-Aid off or making the bin and then dealing with the consequences. And like, that's where like the anxiety and like, those are where the bad habits of, teaching our brains bad habits comes from. And so to me anyway,
You and I are so funny and different on, like, I don't care what other people think. I mean, I guess maybe there's a couple I care what they think. In general, I don't like whatever. I don't really care what they think about me. But if I think something I do is going to upset somebody or hurt somebody, I feel so bad for them because I want them to feel loved like 24/7, as if that's my responsibility.
yeah, yeah,
It's like,
yeah. No, I feel that. Well, and I mean, I've done the work, right? So like
yeah.
I'm doing the work. And so I can identify that it comes from a security fear.
Hmm.
Like that's ultimately where my superpower comes from. Um, is it's security and the lack thereof and like the need to provide that.
Yeah.
And my dad dying and like all of that, whatever. So but it's gosh, sorry. I derailed. Bring it back. Oh, wait, y'all can't because it's my outline. Good thing I wrote it down. Okay.
Leaving that. I'm leaving
Well,
that.
yeah, I mean, the next part is that you're saying open yourself up to being hated, which is
Yes.
such a perfect transition from like, I am in people pleasing mode. I want people to feel like I love them and that I care about them. And sometimes making a certain decision can make people not feel that way. And unfortunately, if nobody hates you, you're living such a small life and not a life
Yeah.
for yourself.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you, Ashley, for for that. But the key point was is you have to let it wash over you because you cannot lose anything to other people's illusions of you. And that is like the simple way of saying it. And you only know the illusions if that person, like if you feed into it and create the illusions for them, which goes back to standing in the
Mm.
arena and saying, hey self, we ain't going to make this harder on us. Or the person comes to you and then you don't know what that conversation and all that stuff's going to be like anyway, right? And it's just not worth it. Like what Katie's talking about, the headspace of it all. And then she talked a lot about failures, which we talked about too. I mean, just reiterating that like you gotta run through the storm because you don't learn shit from sitting on top. Like you learn as you fuck up. Like, and
Yeah.
that was just really refreshing and almost like motivating listening to her. And it was like, okay, like I can't wait to go fuck some shit up so I can be better, but like,
Yeah.
yeah,
I love when people like her are very open about their failures because it's so easy for people in places of success to be like, no, I had to fail to get to where I am. And you're like,
Yeah.
did you? But did you? Like, did you fail as much as I have or as hard as I have? And when people like her will be open, like I think
Yeah.
John Maxwell shared a lot of his failures when we all got to go to his event. And it's just so refreshing to be like, okay, like it's really not the end of the world. I don't completely suck at everything. I don't have to quit because of one no.
yeah.
I would argue that the best leaders get others excited to fail because it actually puts them into motion. Because if they aren't highlighting failure or by highlighting it, allowing grace for failure to happen, a lot of people take no action because they're so scared of that failure. And so by talking about it and embracing it and showing people it'll be okay and encouraging it because it means you're trying something, you actually empower people to take step one. Like some of the people that I regard as the best leaders in my life are the ones who made me excited to fail.
Yeah, that cool. Man, there's so many like subtopics in this. Like when I was making this outline, I
Season
was literally
3 is
like,
all from this.
yeah, like, but I really want to I want to dig into that a little bit more because that's a lot of dots that are getting connected. But like you also think about it from like as a leader, right? That's leading others. And so you just really pop me with some accountability But then you also like, this is why it's so important to understand the wants and the motivations of the people that you're leading. So it's they keep going, right? Because like, and that is such a skill. And the whole time I'm sitting here, I'm thinking, I'm like, oh my God, like I don't have enough energy to do this as one person for everything that needs to be done the right way. And now I'm literally trying to decide who I need to hire to help manage all that stuff, like all in that quick little bit with it. But like, I really want to dig into that leadership piece a little bit more. Can we put a pin on that? Like, Katie, could you maybe lead that later?
Yeah.
Okay. Thanks. So yeah. And then the other thing too, she talked about like just little nuggets is the people that you envy, which like real talk, we all deal with envy at some point, but to not like feel shameful when you have that, but to rather recognize that they're your way showers. Like, and I thought that was really interesting. I don't really think that I envy people very much anymore. Like I just straight up go ask somebody like, yo, how'd you do that? You know?
I will say, I feel like I envy people who look like they had it easier or faster than me. That one will get to me.
Yeah, maybe.
Like I feel like I was born to be a Nepo baby and I'm not.
I don't know what that means. Am I
You
too
don't know
old
what
for
a
this?
Nepo baby is?
No.
Oh, it's somebody that was like born into a position of privilege, like a famous actor whose mom was a famous actor.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. No, I mean, yeah, you're right. I do kind of
I
envy
would have
that a
been
little
really
bit.
good at it, I think. And
Or like a trust fund.
yeah, I would have been a
Wish I had a
great trust fund baby. And so I do get jealous of that, where it's like, I have to remind myself there's so much value in the way I've had to build my career and my life. And I wouldn't be where I am without those lessons. I don't know who I'd be. I don't know, devil incarnate maybe. But I will still, especially on like my more down, when you're just kind of down, you've had a few back-to-back failures and you're like, where's the fucking win?
5 failures to then that's what it is. That's the average, she said. 5 failures to the
And
success.
that's just the average. So if you're above that, it's
right.
okay.
Yeah, just keep going. Every single no should motivate you because the next one, I mean, it sounds so silly. Like it sounds so cheesy sales, but it's not. Like this is literally how you live life, like how you don't become stagnant and die.
Yeah.
Like,
Well, and I will bring up Chapel Roan anytime I can right now, but the pop singer who really just hit it big over the last year and has exploded is, if you go back and read her story, because I don't know if you've read her story yet, but she was making music. She's been in music for a decade. She was making music, putting it out. She was signed to a record label. They dropped her because she couldn't get any records sold. She wasn't selling out concerts. And so her record label dropped her. She had to move back home, move back in with her parents to somewhere in the Midwest. And she was like, I could quit or I could try again. And so she started trying again, signed to a new record label. And now she's like one of the hottest artists of the year.
I love that. Yeah, I love it.
Crazy how many people would have taken that as like a sign from the universe, like I'm not meant to be in music. And she just said
because she wanted
it. It's like all the people that you look at that you're like, wow, they got really lucky. And it's like, no, they just decided not to quit.
You know how Diana spells luck?
W-O-R-K.
Dude, her in that, what was it? It was an Aston Martin?
The Aston Martin.
What the fuck? I was like, you go, Diana. You go, girl.
Can you imagine being on the road and pulling up next to this beast of a car? And
Diana's like 85-pound honey. Oh God. Oh, I would, oh my God, that would be the best day ever. I want that now. Yeah, man, that's so cool. Okay. And then the other thing that she talked about that was like simple is she talked about how your home has to be a yes space and how important that yes space is. And I feel like that is another one of those tiny things that like my rainbow pens, right? Those like tiny things that will make a huge difference overall, or like, drinking and swapping a Coke for a glass of water, that like feels so stupid. Like, and you're like, there's no way, like, giving my fucking Coke. Like, that's me and my clutter right now. It looks like it's disgusting. But yeah.
Wait, but so
That's
what does that
me in
mean?
handwriting random notes fucking all the time. What am
Yeah.
I doing?
Yeah.
Like your home is a yes space, like where you allow yourself to just do what you want? Or like what does she mean by that?
Oh, no. Thank you. Is a yes space because it's full of yes things.
Oh.
So basically Marie Kondo.
Can I
Like
go live in
that.
a glitter tent?
Fuck yeah.
I
No.
do need some more glitter in my house.
Do
I'll just
you?
I'll
From New
I'll come visit
Orleans, it
you. I
doesn't
like
go
shed
anywhere.
glitter.
I'm gonna say that you must already live in a glitter house, Katie. It's yeah. Yeah. Well, I don't know. I literally saw you in a tent of glitter and then I just imagined it constantly raining down. But that actually might be what you want.
That
Is
sounds
that
glorious.
yeah.
Like that sounds delightful.
What color is the glitter?
Depends on the day.
Oh, I was imagining pink for what it's worth.
I mean, that works. Yeah, I wouldn't be mad.
Yeah, so but just talking about like a yes space, and I think it was just more of like being a outward representation of being in your own corner. That's the way that
Mm.
I interpreted it.
I like that. So it's like little physical reminders that
So
like,
that way you recharge your batteries in your home
yeah,
space. And it's actually, and it's subconscious, is all of these things. So that way we can be like Ashleigh, where we learn to talk kindly to ourselves.
I'm almost envisioning it like treating yourself as a third person, that you're like, oh, Biz has a bunch of meetings tomorrow and she's gonna be really busy. So I'm going to put in a couple snacks into her drawer so she's got quick recharge, and I'm gonna refill her water for tomorrow. And I'm gonna leave her a little note that's like something kind, like something you would totally do for your kid or your friend. That
did
was
you
about
just
this,
change
like
my
you're
whole
setting
life?
them up. What did Katie say?
Did you just change my whole life? I do all that stuff, but I do it because I like to be a prepared human, not in a kind way. Like I'm sitting here thinking about, I get so excited. Like Brett was out of town. And so I like deep cleaned some stuff and did all his laundry and like got some stuff ready for him because I knew it would make him happy, and like got stuff set up. And I was so excited the entire time to be like, oh, this is going to make his life so much easier. He's going to feel so loved by this, blah, blah, blah. And when I set stuff up for myself, I'm like, oh, don't forget to do this. Don't forget to do that. Like, I got to do this, or I can cut that out. If I sat here and thought about it like I was doing it for a friend, what the hell would my life be like?
That's amazing. We're back, ladies and gentlemen.
Oh, Biz,
That's truly though, that's like how I got to where I am, and it was subconscious. It was just repeated because my kids tend to forget things. So I had to constantly be like, that's okay, people forget things. And then like after I drop them off at school, I'm crying in my car because I forgot something. And it took,
See,
I mean, my oldest is 13. It's been
yeah.
13 years of working on this, and just now it's rubbing off on me.
so two things on that. One, Liv just turned 9. And so that gives me so much hope, Ashleigh, because you think about, how people overestimate what can be done in a year, but underestimate what can be done in 5 all the time. And so that is so encouraging for me. Thank you to hear you say. And then the other thing is when people talk about like their kids being their why, or like my kid like saving me, like that is really starting to resonate with me now. Like that Liv is at this very important age of setting boundaries and learning once, and all of that stuff. And so it's I just want to like take the time and just, I guess, like tell you thank you for standing in the arena with yourself, and thank you for being my friend, and thank you for sharing your journey with that, because you know, it is unique and it is yours, and it is so similar, and you know what I mean? But it's just like you're a testimony of like standing up and not giving up. And that's really cool. I'm really, really glad to have you in my life. I love you. Yeah. And I love that your kid is 13 and mine's only 9. So you're so much further ahead of me.
Dude, it's crazy.
Yeah.
13 is a wild age.
Yeah. So, okay, that was really all of the nuggets that I wanted to check on with that. And so little housekeeping things. We decided we're going to change our drop day, in case y'all haven't realized that now at this point.
Oh, yeah.
Katie, do you want
I
to?
forgot.
Yeah. Katie, you want to talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, it's going to be Thursdays now. Until it isn't. We're gonna start releasing on Thursdays for a bit. If people hate it, then I guess we'll go back to Tuesdays, maybe. But it seemed we accidentally landed on Thursday last week, and the response was really positive. So
We're gonna try that.
We're gonna make the necessary change, and yeah. So Thursdays until it isn't.
Yeah, and we listen to you guys. That's the other thing
Yeah.
too. Is like we listen to you. So we appreciate any and all feedback. So thank you.
I would especially like to shout out right now our Hong Kong listeners who I just tell you.
We would love to know who you are.
We actually we don't bring this up like ever at all, but I look at the stats a sickening amount. I'm not actually going to tell you how I but we have like very, very consistent and dedicated listeners in Hong Kong, and I just love that, and thank you. And I also really love it because one of my favorite clients ever was from Hong Kong, and he just told me like some really cool stories about it. And I don't know, I love it. Reminds me of him every time I see it pop up on the thing. But yeah, that I don't know.
And we're
it's really
still
cool.
looking for someone in Antarctica for what it's worth. So if anybody listening knows anyone going to Antarctica, I am like determined to make this happen for Katie.
Thank you. Additional housekeeping item. You know what? Somebody could do that before our 1-year anniversary. That would be great. They have 9 days. Additional housekeeping item is I feel that we should bring it to your attention that it was recommended to us that we change the name of our podcast today.
Oh, to what? I'm not liking it already.
Go ahead, Ashleigh.
I don't remember exactly what it was.
The Crazy Girls podcast.
What, you mean they don't want to be our friend?
Word.
No. Well,
we're not. We're keeping it. We're keeping it.
Yeah.
This was really good, Biz. Thank you for sharing. That was like really, really good.
Yeah. I'm going on a goal setting retreat. I'm going to the goal setting retreat next month. And so that's going to be some other good notes.
Yeah.
Well, thank y'all. Thank you for letting me like update you on my personal growth progress too. And thank you guys for always holding me accountable and seeing me even whenever I wasn't sure who I was. And it just honestly, like I was really excited to come back and share this with you because I know that you'd be proud of me a little bit.
Very proud of you.
And like that just, like that's what friendship is, right? And so I'm just again like grateful that we're doing this. And if anybody out there, like whatever you got out of this, all of the above, like please let us know. But we are back and we are so excited to be back. And we look forward to next week.